What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Neighborhood Tours. Today, we're changing it up a bit and coming downtown to Greenwich Village, aka the West Village, aka the Village, to check out one of my favorite vegan restaurants, Urban Vegan Kitchen, and also explore a little bit of the history, iconic spots like the Village Vanguard that you see right behind me. I'm ready. You ready? Because I'm really hungry and I'm ready to explore. Let's go. Brief history about the neighborhood. The West Village is a neighborhood in the western section of the larger Greenwich Village. The traditional boundaries of the West Village are Hudson River to the west, West 4th Street to the north, Greenwich Avenue to the east, and Christopher Street to the south. Other popular definitions have extended the southern boundary as far south as Houston Street, and some use 7th Avenue or Avenue of the Americas as the eastern boundary. The far West Village extends from the Hudson River to Hudson Street between Gansevoort Street and Leroy Street. The West Village historically was known as an important landmark on the map of American Bohemian culture in the early and mid-20th century. The neighborhood was known for its colorful, artistic residents and alternative culture they propagated. Due in part to the progressive attitudes of many of its residents, the village was a focal point of new movements and ideas, whether political, artistic, or cultural. Known as Little Bohemia starting in 1916, the West Village is in some ways the center of Bohemian lifestyle on the west side, where classical artists lofts here in this neighborhood. All right, so one of the things that makes the Greenwich Village unique, and what I find personally as an annoyance, is the off-grid system that the streets have. So you know how most of New York, it's a grid system, it's 54 West 6th Street, and you know exactly where to go because it's a street and a number, and they're all numbers. It's not like that when you come downtown. There's like a weird intersection, like West 4th Street runs into West 10th, 11th, and 12th Street, and then meets at a head on West 13th Street, and then that's separated 3 blocks from Little West 12th Street, which is a very interesting setup. So when you're walking down here, it can be quite confusing if you move here for the first time and don't know where you're going. So it wasn't actually until 1811, the commissioner's plan of 1811, that they started implementing the grid system in the entire Manhattan area, and then even streets downtown were just given numbers, but they didn't really mean anything. Because again, West 11th Street is not next to West 5th Street, and West 10th Street turns into this and that. So it's really quite confusing, but it kind of gives the neighborhood that character that separates it from the rest of Manhattan, which is really awesome about this neighborhood. So in the early 20th century, the West Village started gaining popularity as a creative hub. A lot of creative minds flocked here from all over the country to be here in this neighborhood. Writers, artists, musicians, poets. You had the likes of Edgar Allan Poe that used to live in this place. You had writers such as Bob Dylan, Allen Ginsberg, and so many more creative people that lived right here and called the West Village home, whether it was permanent or temporary, which is pretty awesome. As you saw earlier, the Village Vanguard, speaking of music, was a popular place back then as well. 80 years of jazz music, and popular for its location and for the many famous names that graced the stage throughout the 20th century. Now, another reason you might want to live in the West Village is that there's a lot of celebrities that live in this neighborhood or used to live here, like Leonardo DiCaprio, Calvin Klein. I actually ran into Sarah Jessica Parker about 5 years ago in the West Village. She's really much smaller in person, but that's besides the point. But I ran into her in the West Village just on a random day. So you run into people like that in the West Village if you come and live in this neighborhood or hang out long enough, which is pretty cool living in New York, that you can run into some celebrities here in this neighborhood, right? Like me. So, quick stop, fun fact, where we're standing right now on Grove Street, obviously it's famous for many things. You have the Stonewall Monument here and Stonewall not too far from here, but also, I bet you didn't know that this is where, allegedly, that John Wilkes Booth planned the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, which is wild. But today you wouldn't know that events that led up to a catastrophic time in American history happened right here, because you have all these cool shops, restaurants, bars, you got outdoor dining and all that right now. But I just thought that was an interesting fact when I was looking into the history of the West Village neighborhood. Just wanted to share that with you. All right, now back to our regularly scheduled program. All right, so you got your brief history lesson. Now you know the neighborhood a little bit better, at least what it was in the 20th century, what made the West Village the West Village. But what's the vibe like today in 2021? All right, it has gotten rich, I would admit that, and it could kind of feel like it's a playground for the rich and most people can't afford it, but there's still some pockets of the neighborhood that has that vibe still from the early 20th century. That's a little grungy, that's a little edgy, that's a little creative. And you know, NYU is probably a big part of that because it's in the West Village, Washington Square Park, and like quirky shops and restaurants around the neighborhood that kind of still draws that crowd. So it's still young, it's still hip, but it's also family oriented on those brownstone lined blocks that you see in the neighborhood. So come check it out for yourself and see if you vibe with it. All right, so I received your text message. So you like the vibe of the neighborhood, so now you want to know what you can get for your money. Now, let me start out by saying that the West Village is one of the most expensive neighborhoods in New York City. It's not the number one. Tribeca and Soho kind of occupy that space. Sometimes it's Tribeca, sometimes Soho, whatever. But West Village is definitely up there, maybe in the top 3 of the most expensive neighborhoods. However, the pandemic has affected the entire market and even a neighborhood such as this, at least for the rental market. So right now, if you pull up Street Easy and look for a 1-bedroom for under $2,000, you can find a pretty decent 1-bedroom for $1,700 a month. Look at that, for $1,700, you can live that dream that you've seen in all these movies about New York City, right here in the West Village. Now, for those of you who may think you want to buy here, or you're just curious as what you can buy here if you were to move here and you were like, I don't ever want to leave, the cheapest 2-bedroom for sale in the market is like $1.6 million. It's still the West Village. You're still gonna shell out a couple $1 million to buy a place. But again, interest rates are low, so you should take advantage of it. But call me and hire me as your broker and I get that price down for you. Okay, so now we've come to my favorite section of the video, the food part. Today we're gonna check out Urban Vegan Kitchen on Carmine Street, just one of the many vegan restaurants in the West Village. So we'll definitely have to come back and check out the rest of the vegan restaurants in their neighborhood. You ready? Because I'm ready, because I haven't eaten in like 18 hours. Let's go. All right, so we just arrived at Urban Vegan Kitchen. They have a cool outdoor setup, but I think I'm gonna eat inside because my hands are freezing. But let's go inside and check out the food. All right, guys, welcome to Urban Vegan Kitchen. Again, it's one of my favorite vegan restaurants. I found out about it a few years ago by a friend, and I was like, Urban Vegan Kitchen downtown? I was like, this is really expensive, but I'm gonna try it. So I came here one day for brunch and I tried the chicken and waffles, which I just ordered that you saw, and the wings, and I was like, this is by far my favorite vegan buffalo wings I've ever had, and the waffles are to die for. The only thing that's disappointing about it is that they don't give you 2 waffles. But the vibe of the restaurant is great, the staff is great, like the art, the culture, the vibe. This is what I was talking about, the West Village. You can still get that energy and that vibe in certain places that you go in. One of these are the places because the people are really cool. A lot of celebrities come through here that are vegan that you'd be surprised and eat here. So I can't wait till I get this food. I'm gonna show you guys up and close what I ordered, and as I'm eating it, tell you about how good it is and that you should definitely come here if you're in New York City. Oh, look at this beautiful spread. That's like the only word I can use to describe it. So right here is the buffalo seitan chicken wings with the vegan ranch sauce and celery, obviously, because it's really spicy. It cools down the palate. So this is made from seitan, that's what it's called, which is like a flour dough. My wife can actually make this now, but every now and then you want to go out and just buy this and just eat it because this is where I first fell in love with vegan buffalo wings. But it's so good. Baby, yours is really good too. And then the chicken and waffles, which is, so right here they throw the kale in the middle, then you have the crispy seitan, extra crispy because it's really good, and then the waffle, some maple syrup on the side right here. And then this is the buffalo cauliflower, which I didn't order. This is from my videographer who's filming right now. But it's buffalo cauliflower. It's just as good as the buffalo wings if you're a big fan of cauliflower. But let's just get this taste. Like, let me show you guys how good it tastes. And your mouth is probably gonna be watering right now. So we'll take a piece of this buffalo right there. I'm gonna dip that in the ranch sauce. Man, look at that. Look how beautiful that is. Look at that. It was so good. So good. It's the right amount of spicy. Man, look at that. It looks like real chicken wing. Like, I know some of you are gonna be hating. It's like, why not just get the regular chicken wing? Because I don't want to. I like animals. Well, that's not true. It is true. But that's not why I'm vegan. That's another story for another time. But yes, no one was harmed in the making of this chicken wing. All right. Let's try the vegan. Now right here, with some more crispy seitan on top. And this is like a sugar, melted sugar drizzle on top. And you would think that kale and waffles doesn't really go together, but it kind of does, which is interesting. Look how beautiful and soft this kale is. Look at the drip. It got that drip. And I mostly only drink my kale. I prefer not to eat it, but this is actually pretty good. Well, we'll pour the syrup around. Get that right there. Ooh. All of it. All of it. Right there. Look at that. That's so beautiful. So golden. Now, this is probably one of the best vegan Belgian waffles I've had here. And I know I say that a lot about places I go, this is the best, but I've tried to make waffles at home, Belgian waffles, and it doesn't come out as good. But it's fluffy. Oh, my bad. It's fluffy, it's moist. Just look at that. Oh. That is always very satisfying when I come here. I'm never disappointed. All right, I'm gonna eat this right now, but you guys should definitely come check out Urban Vegan Kitchen. Follow them on Instagram as well. It's well worth it. If you want to live in the West Village, be in the middle of everything, and you're a vegan, this is the place that you want to come to. Don't come here every week because it's a lot of money. It's worth the money. I was so excited when I heard they had indoor dining because I'm inside, not in the cold, eating this good food, and I can enjoy it a lot better. But with that being said, I'm gonna see you in the next video. I'm about to take this food down. Peace.